Hello War of the Visions fans, I'm Jackie Fox. I did not expect to be making a video all of a sudden today, but it looks like we're going to be celebrating JP's 5th anniversary alongside them. And there have been some really just stunningly ridiculous things up for offer. While I'm here though, I do want to talk about the tactics bonus. This on day 3 is going to be the... Here on day 3, we're going to be getting the summon coin that's going to be tradable for a 120 character. I want to impress early on here how cool it is to get a level 120. Not only are you like halfway to fully awakening them as a character, so you skip a lot of steps, you also skip a lot of steps that are very resource intensive and things that are in limited quantity in this game, like Rainbow Vision Spheres. You bypass that almost entirely. You also get to bypass a lot of the Awakening Prisms, Fragments of Thought, and a lot of these things that are really getting used up these days. So that is a really cool bonus. And if you stick it out all 7 days, you get an extra 100 shards. Very cool. And if you're wondering what character you should go for that, that's what my next video is going to be about. I'm going to be looking at Agrias and Orlando. And spoiler alert here, Orlando is kind of stronger, but Agrias has been more popular immediately. She's also just really durable as a tank, also really good at throwing curveballs at the opponent through status effects, which has always kind of been her thing, but she's gotten better at it, and her being more durable now just makes her better at it. So she, like how well these characters are going to age into the future is an open question, but if I had to put my money on one of them doing better, it would probably be Agrias, and it seems like the JP side is pretty into that conclusion as well. And we'll be looking at the data and seeing why JP thinks this way and what teams Agrias is best on. And second spoiler alert, you might want both of them, because since they're both powerful and both red mages in both kind of different roles, one of them being an attacker, one of them being a defender, you got your tank, you got your DPS. They're just really strong on teams together, much like Sodley and Exia. So this is another one that I'm going to look at as a pair. But also, much like Mont here, I am now a commander. It's not the most impressive title, but it's pretty cool for Mont. And I want to show you a couple of things with that system before we get into our real question today, which is what do we do with the triple select summon banner? Because, man, there's some pretty great choices here. So, this is the way that commander effects, it seems, are going to work. And they may be locked to certain game modes, as you can kind of see down here based on character. Maybe, there are ones that get much stronger effects that are applicable in just a specific type. Maybe we have one that's more specialized for PvP. Maybe we have one that's specialized for guild battle. Maybe we have one that is specialized for PvE content, but this one, Mont, is good for everyone. So, or good for all situations. First commander effect is just HP up. It works for everybody. This kind of reminds me of Master Ability 1. Then we have kind of second generation vision cards where this is all locked to an element. So this is going to give Earth attack up and luck. And I think that this might make him important as a commander, the extra luck at least, for a lot of evasion type strategies, and we're going to see some more of that. So we've got Warrior, which is going to include like Duelist. We've also got Knights, which is going to include Ashen Mont, Bradley, Axe, so Halloween Lucio, Dagger, Ninja Blade. Both of them are going to benefit. So Riku, Kitone, Yuffie, like all of these characters are going to benefit. Well, maybe not Yuffie as much, but we'll put a pin in that. All those characters are going to benefit at least from the attack and reaction block rate. But Earth characters are also going to get Earth attack up and luck, which is pretty cool. And then finally, this last one is pretty neat. I don't know that this is always going to be locked to job-based stuff, but it is for this character locked to the same job effects as the third ability, and that is going to be, at least in this case, and maybe we get different things for this, but this is essentially a preemptive buff. Also, it lasts for 5 turns, which is pretty cool. It's not super strong. AP and AP consumption is pretty cool, though, for who this works best for, which is probably mostly physical teams anyways. And this could really help insulate against Blade Stream as well, even though it's still not going to give Mont his chances to silence back. Blade Stream is still going to block him in that way. So from here, it's kind of hard to say what future commanders are going to look like, what commanders and other rarities are going to look like, whether the next commanders we're going to see are more older characters in the game, some of the first released and most in need of update, or if we're going to see, brand new characters coming in with commander abilities. I don't believe on the JP side the new Final Fantasy X-2 characters. I don't believe on the JP side that the Final Fantasy X-2 characters have any sort of commander effects. So I don't know if I should expect that either. So it's kind of up in the air about what comes next and how the system evolves from here. But for right now, it feels kind of like a vision card, but spread out among the 3 different types. It's got a little bit of the effects of a universal vision card, it's got a little bit of the effects of an elemental vision card, it's got a little bit of the effects of a job-based vision card, and then it's got this commander ability, which is kind of a unique extra thing that's like a pretty cool buff, at least in this case. And again, that could maybe work out to be other things. Maybe it gives everyone a follow-up attack for the first couple of hits or something. This could do really interesting, new, and broken things. And I'm really excited to see how this unfolds. Now, I wanted to point out that, as you can see, while the team that I'm running here in particular maybe isn't the best for this, maybe if I was running Mont alongside Lucio and Bradley, I could fully maximize this bonus. But this is doing a lot of things for this team. And at least for right now, with Prince Mont and Earth being the only element that can use commander effects at this moment, this is going to make Earth teams a little bit stronger and just kind of give them a little bit of an edge. Both making them bulkier in a way that Veritas of the Earth is really going to benefit from, or making them more evasive in a way that Lucio, Sodley, or a lot of the other evasive characters are going to benefit from. And in addition to all of that, Ash and Mont's just going to be happy with all of it. 100% of it, this is all right up Ash and Mont's alley. Okay, so from here, though, I want to talk about the bonus free summons. First, I would do the 5 UR guaranteed pull and bonus included summon. You might get something that you think you absolutely need. Maybe that influences your decision making. But considering that we're talking about level 120 units that we're picking, and you're going to be pulling them at maybe level 1 here, you might still want to get them. But we'll talk about that in a second. There's also daily free 10 summons. This right here, this is the banner. Yes, okay, so this big boy banner right here, Lilith is going to be a little bit low on this list, both in my assessment of whether or not you should get her on this banner, but also because she's a lower cost character. I think that this is sorted by cost. So she is actually below even a number of characters that should be older than her. That being said, obviously, I can't pull this up in game right now because I was very happy to go ahead and do it. I have a little bit of regret, but I got the units I did and the units that I wanted. Ultimately, maybe not the units I needed, but the units I wanted. My recommendation would be to stick with Joom and newer on this, and probably Joom and above, really. There might be some older characters if you're a collector or if you've just got a lot of the newer units. Maybe you're a newer player and new player banners got you a lot of the new units and you were able to save up for some of the rest of them. And you've got a lot of the units that I'm going to talk about being number one priorities. Maybe you go pick somebody out based on their TMR. If there's a TMR you need to collect for your team, go ahead and get it. This is a great way to do it. You'll automatically get the Trust Master because they're coming in at level 120. It's great. But otherwise, first priority, especially right now, especially if you're starting now, especially if you're coming back to the game right now, especially if you're trying to rebuild your account right now, if you want to synergize with your free unit from Final Fantasy Tactics, you've got to get Gilgamesh. Not only are Agrias and Gilgamesh both ice red mages, Orlando also is a red mage, and let's say you end up with the Lita, he's a red mage as well. So, in terms of vision cards, you couldn't get a better synergy than Agrias and Gilgamesh. And Agrias, Gilgamesh, and Orlando are all going to be great together. And look, if you can get 6k paid Vivs together, this is going to be the discount pack. Should cover this and give you some free Viz in addition to spend. You can just outright buy one of these characters for what is about $50 US where I am. So you could get the second character too, guaranteed. Although you would guaranteed have to spend some money on them. And from there, with just one of the selects, you've built an entire red mage team that's super competitive right now. The second unit that I would have you choose is probably going to be Shurika, but it could also be Luciel. Shurika because she's strong into a lot of things. She's strong into many of the characters in this game. For one reason or another, there aren't a lot of characters that are actually built to be able to beat her in a lot of different ways. It's not always the case that one unit of a counter element can actually beat its counter element kind of by themselves. But Shurika, she's really good at it. Especially if she's built for accuracy and the Earth team in question is built for evasion. If she can get high enough to hit them, she can take advantage of the fact that they basically aren't wearing armor to just take them out even easier. I've seen so many people run her as a one of and still be able to cut through Earth teams or hold back Earth teams that were going against them. This can make her an especially dangerous character, well, at least for your opponents, to be running on defense, because if you thought you could take that lightning unit and then all of a sudden you find out there's a Shurika behind it, you might be losing this match. So she's definitely a favorite. And like in general, usually when you get the options here, I would go for DPSs. They're just more fun to play. Like we want to see the numbers go big. Don't we folks? We want to see big numbers here. I know it's a monkey brained instinct, but me want to see big number. Shurika have big number. For a more technical and tactical approach, Luciel is like the glue that makes all the best teams work right now. She buffs up her team to be able to do the things that they need to do to win. She'll take anybody and turn them into a dominating team. Okay, maybe not literally anybody, but she's a very powerful and enabling character. And even when, unlike a lot of other mages like this, really supportive healing type characters, unlike a lot of them, you can get a fight down to just Luciel, think you're going to win, because all this girl can do is heal, right? And then she disables two of your characters. And you're like, well, yeah, I definitely lost this. I 100% thought I was going to win, but now I'm bodied. There's also a lot of like other effects that she adds to her skills. One of them being the ability to remove courage. That's pretty great. She puts that on other people too. So she just loads up courage removal onto your whole team, sends them out to deal with other people's courage. She doesn't so much worry about it herself. She just stays in the back row and heals them, while buffing them at the same time, and also maybe preloading some heals, giving them haste. She's really good at getting your team started with haste. Very Rinoa-like ability to do this while doing other buffs as well. It's very, very great. She's one of the best characters for that. She's also great at giving people re-raise and also giving them re-raise protection at the same time. This is pretty ideal. This is a pretty great way to do re-raise. If you've been watching this channel over the last year, you'll know that I'm not the biggest fan of these type protection skills because you can just easily get hit before you land any damage and it didn't matter. But basically any character that has a re-raise should have this on them. I think it's beneficial to them. Is it still kind of a coin flip whether or not it actually matters? Sure, but I'd still rather win that coin flip half the time than not even try. So it's a really cool effect, and like, there's just so many reasons why, no matter what your team is, especially if you're a lightning team, but also especially if you're just a 3-color team, you really should consider running Lucielle to make things just gel. She's very good at making other teams work. Like, Lucielle worked really well with Sottily and Exia. Guess what? Lucielle's going to work really great with Agrius and Orlando as well. Just find 2 other units that are good together, add Lucielle, and you're great. And really, this level of flexibility, if it weren't for Gilgamesh being a red mage and red mages being free and powerful with Final Fantasy tactics, or just how important Earth can be in the meta right now, and how important it can seem to be in high-level play to have a counter to that, really makes Shurika valuable. But there is almost a world where I could say with absolute certainty that out of all of the characters offered on this banner, Lucielle is the one that will help you win the most often. I definitely didn't expect that to be my takeaway at this point in the game when she came out, but I've seen her on so many good teams, and it just makes teams more consistent. She's just really good at taking a good start and making it a great team. If you already have one of those characters, though, who else might you consider? Well, there's not a ton of other options that are really up to the modern power level. About as far back as I would recommend that you go at all would be maybe Helena and Elda. But even then, probably not. Like, Helena's pretty powerful as a black mage. If you really want to build a black mage team, and you don't have like Helena or Shurika, you could pick both of them up right now. They work really well together. If you want to run a Lancer team, if you have a good Lancer and you need support for that, you could get, say, Astra Lancer Ramada, Elda King of the Lions. They're a really good Lancer combo. But for the most part, you don't want to go back that far. The next character I would say, probably your 4th priority for this, would be Astra Lancer Ramada, or Ramada Maiden of the Stars, whatever her subtitle ended up being. And for at least a couple of reasons, she's fast, she can heal herself, she does a lot of damage, has a lot of AoE resistance penetration, so it's hard to stop her damage. But in addition to all of that, she has basically guaranteed curse versus certain status benefits on your opponents, namely courage and protect. Those are pretty common, especially against units that would otherwise be good against Ramada. So Ramada is really good at cursing the things that she counters. She counters the things that she counters incredibly well, and she's alright in other cases. She's a little bit more specific of a unit, although I don't know, maybe kind of in the same ballpark as Shurika. It's just, Earth is in a better place than water is right now. Water is kind of iffy at the moment, even with Exia, because Exia has kind of hit the pattern of water units that work best off water teams. Much like a Perrine, or even like Greatsword June Spring Celestial has been a really strong variant. And Exia just seems to work better on other teams. Sorry, water. So there's not a huge threat from water in the same way that there is from Earth, which means that Ramada, being an excellent counter to a lot of water units at the moment, as most of them have courage and or protect, she just really doesn't have the same utility as Shurika does. But I would argue that in a lot of ways there's similar units. They're kind of flip sides of a coin, and that, you know, Ramada definitely has potential to shine brightly into the future. It's just, at the moment, I prefer Shurika better. And then for some final choices, there's also June the Spring Celestial, Lilith, Knight of Resistance. I don't know what her subtitle was, but the problem with Lilith, while she is a good, relatively modern unit, she was also meant to kind of be a discount unit. I mean, she's strong for a 70 cost, but she was meant to be pulled relatively easy, so she doesn't quite have the same top end as all the other characters I've mentioned so far. She doesn't even really have the same top end as June, but she is really quite powerful as like a next generation knight in her ability to soften other people's damage while making defensive characters better, essentially. And if you can build her for good defenses, she can take damage exceptionally well and kind of help your team take damage better. So she definitely has strong technical applications, but she's not like the raw powerhouse that June is. I would still probably prioritize June over her. And with that, I mean, I think that's everybody. Oh, Fina. Damn, I forgot Fina. Okay, so, Fina is the preference that I also consider to be a mistake. I pulled Fina on this banner. I should have gotten Luciel for all the reasons I've listed so far. Fina's not a terrible healer on teams that want her element. She's pretty strong. She definitely does kind of some of the things that Luciel does, but in a different way. She's definitely kind of a similar unit, but in a different way, and I think that the way that Luciel does her stuff is just more effective, unfortunately for poor old Fina. But I like Fina. I like her as a character. I think this particular version of her is cool. It's just not quite what the meta needs. Probably not quite what your team needs, unfortunately. It is what it is. Honestly, she's like the only character that is a real solid miss out of everything that's been released since June. It's real unfortunate. It's not that you won't lose to her on occasion, it's just, you know, when you have the option of her or Luciel, it seems like Luciel's just doing better. Also, Summer Resnick is another really great choice that overshadowed Fina by quite a bit. That's a limited character, and obviously you're not going to be able to pull her on this, and probably won't be able to pull her for another year, so what would you? Maybe you do want Fina in that case. But really, if you're looking for a healer and you don't specifically want that healer for the light element, or you aren't an FFBE fan that's just a big fan of Fina and think Luciel's a raging bitch, you should probably get Luciel instead. But, yeah, Fina's a choice, I guess. If you already had Luciel and Ramada, then you could get Gilgamesh, Shurika, and Fina. It's fine. It's not the worst decision. If you already have most of these units, congratulations. Again, I think you're TMR shopping. You've done too good. You are now TMR shopping. Anyways, I'm now realizing that because I decided to get up and walk around for this recording, and I'm also recording the backing video, and I'm holding both phones in the same hand, I'm not really doing anything on the other phone. It's probably been on that screen for quite some time now. And I'm sorry about that. I really meant for this to be a little bit more visually diverse. Maybe I'll work in some video, show you how the commander system works. Hopefully I've done that by now, so there's not just a ton of dead screen in here, but I just wanted to go ahead and get my thoughts out here, because my thoughts on this are, you want to know who to pull on this ASAP, because as soon as you log in, you're going to try to pull this. Like, I don't know what kind of level of self-control you have to not do this as soon as you log in. So, time is of the essence in me getting this video in front of your eyes. But also, if you, for whatever reason, weren't planning to play this week, especially if you're one of the people who feel like you've gotten behind and you're having a hard time catching up and the game is just becoming too expensive for you to keep up with, well, again, this is the best single week of rewards that I have ever seen in this game. I mean, I really think that I would have to look back as far as maybe first anniversary, maybe even further. Maybe there just isn't a time that's been better than this. But it's definitely the most generous that Gumi has been in like 4 years at the very minimum. Just great job. Truly appreciate it. You've given me so much variety and versatility. You've given my Earth account finally the Gilgamesh that it needs to be a double threat and to be able to play around Shurika. Thank you, Gumi. It's been fun. So with all that being said, I'm going to get back to playing my game. I've got a lot of characters to run through their basic paces and orientation. Bunch of master abilities to unlock, that kind of thing. And definitely got to get started on my Final Fantasy Tactics tokens, as I can trade a lot of those for shards. So I'm going to try to build up enough medals to buy shards for whatever character that I end up getting in a couple of days with the medal, and hopefully enough other resources too. You know, I'm kind of perpetually running low on Gil, Rainbow EXP cubes, and especially Fragments of Thought seem to be the worst, but sometimes it's the Awakening Prisms. It just feels like there's a little bit less of a trickle of the Fragments of Thought. Luckily though, being that it is currently today, Dias de los Muertos, it is the first day of the month. So since that lined up with an actual software update, that means that we've been updated to get all new units in the Mog shop, which is going to help me with my Rainbow Vision Spheres, which have also been getting a little bit low. And I just drew some new Vision cards, so I'm definitely going to need as many of those as I can get. But also, I can go into the select quests and get at least like 100 and 200 of some of these resources, which is definitely going to help. Because I want to start reincarnating at least a couple of these characters pretty much right now. So, I'm going to get to that, and I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. That's a free-to-play option for YouTube. But also remember, you know, YouTube and I have a bit of a contentious relationship when it comes to promoting my videos. So if you want to make sure that you see my videos, you gotta ring that bell, or YouTube might not be sure that you see it. But also be sure to click the link in the description, look for ways to help the channel. I got a birthday coming up, it's 2 weeks from now. If you would like to go ahead and start contributing to the birthday fund, I am taking donations on coffee. But also if you just want to like donate $1 a month and kind of help me out more throughout the year, your birthday present being just a little bit of peace of mind throughout the rest of my year. You can also do that on Patreon as well, or you can just buy some of my books. I love it when people do that. It makes me feel good about myself. It makes me feel like life goals are being accomplished. And also, for every book you buy, you get a couple of bucks. That's cool. So buy some of those books. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.